Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. Hope you're having a good day. God bless you guys. Hello, welcome. Blackwater, good to see you, man. Long time no see, bro. Hope you're doing good, man. Hello, Jack Ray. God bless you. Hello, Andrew Martin. Hello, Abla. God bless you. Andrew Martin. Blackwater. Oh, Blackwater. Oh. Oh, Blackwater. Hello, Yusuf. Hello, Jimmy Quick. God bless you. Yeah. Well, we seem to have a lot of different topics going on here. We haven't even started yet. So, yeah, hello, LA Apologetics. God bless you, Yusuf. Yeah, there's a lot of different things going on. I kind of, I read about this guy right here, Chechyan Mufti. Chechnya is it's a Russian republic. It was part of the Soviet Union, and when the Soviet Union fell apart, they they sided with Russia. Decided to go on. Actually, Chechnya was broken up into two parts. One part became independent, but one part stayed with Russia, and that's the part that this guy is from. And so I just kind of was interested in the article about him. I just read it, and so I thought I'd do a little something on it. And yes, I know about the situation. I know Trump's told Nigeria that they're going to come in to they're going to come into Nigeria with guns ablazing if they don't stop killing the Christians over there. It's a lot of a lot of killing of Christians over there. So, but president of the president of Nigeria said, "No way, man. We are a place of equal rights and we respect everybody." Yeah, right. So, anyway, lots going on, and Jesus, he said there was going to be this persecution against Christians, those who love him, and yeah, Trump really came out strong about that, about um, about what was said, about what's happening in Nigeria, and got a strong reaction. So, dude, crazy times. Yeah, almost looks like Matthew chapter 24. Okay, here's the Chechen Mufti, Chechnya. Uh, Chechnya, by the way, is by far. I wonder what the population. Uh, Okay, Chechnya is, let me see, demographics. Chechnya, according to 2021, was a million, 1.5 million. Okay, okay, 96.4. There's some Russians, Komiks. Okay. Uh, the languages are Russian and Chechenian. Religion, let me see. Sunni Islam is the predominant religion of Chechnya, practiced by 95% of those. Most of the population is Sunni and follows either Shafi'i or Hanafi schools. Shafi'i school, okay. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union, there has been an Islamic revival in Chechnya. And in 2011, it was estimated there were 465 mosques, including the Ahmed Kadyrov Mosque, accommodating 10,000 worshippers, as well as 31 madrasas, including Islamic University. Grozny is the largest such institution in Europe. The Supreme Islamic Administrative Territorial Organization in Chechnya is the spiritual administration of Muslims in Chechen Republic. Christianity from the 11th to 13th centuries, there was a mission of Georgian Orthodox missionaries to the Nakh people. They were not successful, though. One or two Highland did convert to Christianity. Conversion was largely by Teeps. However, during the Mongol invasions of Durzutikia, these Christianized groups gradually reverted to paganism. Okay. Fought the Mongols and fell under their dominion. Once the Russian minority in Chechnya, mostly Terek Cossacks, Russian Orthodox. Okay, so those are some facts about Chechnya. Okay, and so they're saying about 95%, 95% Sunni Muslim. I'm not sure I believe that, but just because they always say that, like they say every Muslim country is 95% Muslim and all that. But, in reality, that's not usually the case. But I meet a lot at the mosque that I go to on Fridays usually. I meet a lot of Chechens. There's a lot of Chechens there and that attend that. And they don't usually speak English. They know Russian, they know a few words, they don't know Arabic, but they go to that mosque there that I go to. And so I see quite a few of them. Um, so, so Chechnya Mufti, Jews are the enemies of Islam, spreading atheism and Satanism. Okay, so this is the Chechen Mufti, Salah Mezhiev. Okay, and it sparked a backlash from the Russian chief rabbi, urging Muslim leaders to condemn his hateful statements. And that's kind of what caught my interest, that he wants Muslim leaders in Russia to condemn what he said. Okay. My question is what he's saying against Islam? You know, uh, I mean, the Quran. Let me see. It says it says in the Quran in chapter 2, Oh, excuse me, 551 to 53. Okay. Let's look at that. Fifty-one, 53. Okay, it says, take neither Jews nor Christians as guardians. They are guardians of each other. Whoever does so will be counted as one of them. Allah does not guide the wrongdoing people. Okay. Then it says, you see those with sickness in their hearts racing for their guardianship, saying in justification, we fear turn and fortune, but Allah will bring about a victory for another favor by his command. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure exactly how this, except for that it does talk about not taking Jews and Christians as friends. Okay. Ma'idah 51. All right. Enemies of the Jews. Enemies of the Jews. What Muhammad in the Quran taught about Jews and why. Okay. Jews are hostile. Okay. Okay. 582. Let's look at 582. This is the verse that I think he may have been quoting. You shall surely find. Okay. Let me see if we got this here. I'm wondering if the verse that this guy was thinking about when he said this, that, you will surely find the most bitter towards the believers to be the Jews, and polytheists, and the most gracious to be call themselves Christians. Okay. So the most intensive people in animosity towards the believers to be Jews. This is what the Quran says. In Arabic, لا تجدن أشد الناس عدوى للذين آمنوا اليهود. Okay, so, what that guy said is not unlike what the Quran says. Okay, it seems like the Quran is saying pretty much what this guy said. Okay, it says here, Chechnya Supreme Mufti Salah Mazhiev said that Jews were the enemies of Islam and were spreading atheism and Satanism, according to Russian media outlets. Russian Chief Rabbi Berel Lazar to call on Muslim Russian leaders to disassociate from Mazhiev's remarks. Now, you see, the problem is, how do you disassociate from these remarks when they are almost quoted word for word in the Quran? The Quran says that Jews were the enemies of Islam. Okay. Now, it doesn't necessarily say that they were spreading atheism and Satanism. I don't know. Maybe that was the part that the rabbi has a problem with, or is it just in general, just that we know the Quran says these things, but we still want to live at peace? Okay. Grozny Informed State Agency reported Saturday that during the October 20th episode of the talk show Chechen History, War and Peace, Mezhiev allegedly addressed apostasy and blamed part of the phenomenon on the Jewish people. Okay. The enemies of Allah, the Jews, and the movements they spawn, such as atheism, have existed for ages, Mezhiev said, according to Grozny Informed. And no matter where it happens, in the Arab world or in Europe, there are always pseudo-Orientalists spreading lies. If you listen to the topics they raise and the questions they ask, it becomes clear. The source of their ideas is Satanism. Okay. Okay. Lazar, this is the Jewish guy, said on Telegram that the Mufti's speech was not only insulting to the entire Jewish people and to our faith, but went against the Russian Federation's attempt to foster interfaith peace. It's so easy to destroy everything. All it takes is a fanatic or a group of marginalized individuals to perceive these statements as a call to action. We've seen this before in Europe, Lazar said. It's especially sad that such statements are coming from Chechnya, a region where relations between indigenous Muslim population and Jews have traditionally been peaceful, and where Jews came out to defend the homes of Chechens when authorities evicted them during the Stalin's purges. Okay, so the Jew, this rabbi is encouraging the Jews to, the sheikh, to come out in Russia and say that they disagree with what this guy is saying. And that's my question is, can Muslim Mufti come out and condemn it? I'm not trying to be snarky or anything. Okay. I'm just trying to say this is so clear in the Quran that this is what they believe. I mean, it's almost word for word what the Quran says. It's almost word for word. You shall surely find the most bitter towards the believers to be the Jews. Okay, in Arabic, تجد أشد الناس عداوة للذين آمنوا اليهود. Okay, the most people most hostile against the believers to be Jews. You shall find the strongest among men in enmity to the believers, the Jews. Okay, so, and the word here, adawa means enmity. Okay, أشد الناس عداوة للذين آمنوا. The strongest people in enmity to those who believe to be the Jews. And so, what he's saying is, he's just quoting the Quran. And so I don't know that they can honestly condemn, you can do go on CNN, and say, the lies that they always say on CNN, and get away with it. But, the question is, does that fix what the Quran says? The Quran hasn't changed. Okay. And so anyway, I just want to look a little bit at some of the issues between Jews and Islam historically. Let me just read a couple things here about the Jews. The Quran makes 44 specific references to Banu Israel, the children of Israel. Although the term might refer to both Jews and Christians as a single religious lineage, in the Quran, Jews, Yahudi, are considered a religious group, while Banu Israel are an ethnic group. Okay, so they're saying that Jews is a religion, Banu Israel is the like an ethnic group. And this is a problem that lots of people have when they say Jews. What are they talking about? Are they talking about a culture? Are they talking about a race? Are they talking about a religion? There's a lot of confusion about that, and people say that sometimes it's just all three. But you can have Jews who are Buddhists. You can have Jews who are Christians. So it is a difficult situation. The way some Muslims apparently have tried to differentiate in the Quran is called Benu Israel, the ethnicity, whereas Yahud is the religion. Even though I think you'll find that they're used interchangeably because they pretty much mean the same. Okay. So, yeah, let's just look here real quick. Okay. All right. It's good. It says Yahud and Yahudi. The Arabic term Yahud and Yahudi occurs 11 times in the Quran, and the verb hada, meaning to be a Jew, occurs 10 times. Okay. Interesting. According to Khalil Duran, negative passages use Yahud, while positive references speak mainly of the Benu Israel. See, so now you see they keep trying to differentiate. Why does here say Yahud and here it says Benu Israel, sons of Israel? And once they said because one is the culture, one is the religion, and then or the race, ethnicity, and the other is the religion. Whereas here he's saying when it's negative, they call him Yahud. When it's positive, they call him Benu Israel. So, I don't think either of them is right, but there could be some truth to it, though. It says the negative passages use Yahud, which is the Jews, whereas the positives speak of Benu Israel. And there's one thing that is when it says Benu Israel, who is Israel? Benu means sons of, and Israel is Israel. But who are these Benu Israel? Who is Israel? Who is Israel? If there's a Muslim on who can come on and tell us, where does it say who the Israel is? And then, okay, let's continue here. All right, let's look at some passages. Okay, there's this right here. It says, adoption of Jewish practices. According to Bernard Lewis and some other scholars, the earliest verses of the Quran were largely sympathetic to Jews. And there's just one interesting thing that they said, too, is that there is actually no mention of Jews in the Quran during the Mecca period, when Muhammad was in Mecca, and he was in Mecca around 10 years after claiming to have become a prophet. He started his alleged prophethood when he was 40 years old. He was in Mecca during that time, and he had, there's really no mention of the Jews. Maybe he just had positive relationships with the Jews of Mecca. The problems began when he went to Medina. And there he encountered, and Medina was called Ithrib at the time. It was pretty much a Jewish settlement, and there were three powerful Jewish tribes there: the Benu Kenuka, the Benu Qurayza, and the Benu Nadir. And he exiled two of those tribes. He kicked them out. And you'll find different reasons why they say they were kicked out. But then the third tribe, the Benu Qurayza, were killed. It was a genocide. All of the men were killed, and the women and children sold into slavery. So those are some of the situations that happened. And before, you notice there's a lot of overlap between Islamic and Jewish practices. For instance, Muhammad took the practices of the Jews in his religion. He made people start praying towards Jerusalem. They would face Jerusalem when they prayed, like the Jews do. The Jews, based on Solomon's prayer, Solomon, when he built the temple, said, Lord, when people pray towards this temple, hear them. So the Jews, no matter where they are in the world, they pray towards Jerusalem. Well, Muhammad started his religion praying towards Jerusalem as well. But then when there started being problems between the Jews and Muhammad, he changed the Qibla, or the direction of prayer, to Mecca. So now Muslims pray towards Mecca. And, this wasn't the case before. But he also took other things from the Jews, including the fasting, the celebrations, the prayers, praying. The Jews pray 3 times a day. Muhammad took that and made it 5. And so there's a lot of overlap. But the problem occurred because Muhammad was so sure that the Jews were going to say, you are definitely the prophet from Allah that we are waiting for. He expected the Jews would do that. They did not do that. In fact, the Jews who used to joke about Muhammad and used to say crazy things to him, hoping just to kind of see if he would put those crazy things that they say in the Quran. And most of the times they did. Muhammad did put it in the Quran. Among the Jews are those who distort words from their proper places and say, we hear and disobey. This is the problem, that they say they change the words from their proper places. In Arabic, kalam an mawadi'ha, on its places. Well, that's exactly what the Quran does too, because the Quran is not in chronological order. If it was in chronological order, the first verse would be Surah 96:1, which is that man is made out of a clot of blood, which is the first verse Muhammad supposedly received. So anyway, oh, really? Oh, Andrew Martin here has Jews speak Quran contradiction. Yeah, if you could send that to me, I wish you could send it to me in the private chat. Then I'd be able to open it up. So anyway, but the Jews were playing Muhammad, and they used him. They knew how to get under his skin, and they did so much so that. But Muhammad's biggest problem with the Jews is that they did not recognize him as a prophet. They thought he was a joke, and so they used to just mess with him, and he got mad about that. And so when what he did, eventually he drove him out. And remember, when Muhammad was dying, what were his last words? It wasn't, "Dear Lord, forgive them. They don't know what they do," or, nothing positive. Instead, what he said is, "If I live, I want to drive the Jews and Christians out of the Arabian Peninsula. And so they ended up doing that. Okay, so let's look at some of the hadiths and see what they say about the Jews. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, all these job alerts. Okay, let's read this. See this here. It says, he reported, Muhammad is saying, the last hour will not come before the Muslims fight the Jews and the Muslims kill them, so that Jews will hide behind stones and trees, and the stone and the tree will say, O Muslim, O servant of Allah, come, there is a Jew behind me. Come and kill him. The only exception will be the box thorn, for it is one of the trees of the Jews. So all these trees and rocks are saying, hey, come kill the Jew behind me, but except for the box thorn. It's also called the Gharkand tree. the Garkhan tree. This tree will protect Jews. They will. This tree will not snitch on the Jews that are hiding behind it. So I strongly encourage, all my Jewish friends to grow a Garkhan tree. And I'm being kind of facetious about that, but it's kind of a crazy hadith. So if you take it seriously, then most left the God of their fathers when they crucified Christ, but many accepted their Messiah. They're called Messianics. Yes, that's true. And they've been leaving him. You can't read the Bible and come away thinking, oh man, this book was written by the Jews for the Jews, as which some people say that it's pro-Jewish propaganda. But you can't read the Bible at all and come away with that. I mean, the Jews are so heavily criticized in the Bible. They're so heavily criticized. Israel is so heavily criticized in the Bible. You can't read it and come away thinking, oh, these people, this book is a big pro-Jewish, propaganda book, which some people say. But in reality, you can't, if you really read it, you can't say that. The Jews get a lot of negative publicity in the Bible, a lot, because of their disobedience to God. And so, there's some who say that it is Israeli propaganda. Well, whoever says that, I don't think they've read the Bible, because it definitely doesn't do that. You never come away after you've read it with the feeling of, this worships the Jews, like a lot of people say. You haven't read the Bible if you think that, because it definitely doesn't do that. In fact, like when John the Baptist was baptizing, he was, John the Baptist only baptized, I guess, for around a year. Had a very short, his ministry was very short time. He baptized for about 6 months before Jesus, and then about 6 months after Jesus, and then he was captured by Herod, put in prison, and then it wasn't that long, he was killed. And so, but what did he say about the Jewish leaders? No, not specifically about the Jewish people, but about the Jewish leaders. He called them, you brood of vipers. You brood of vipers, which is a way of saying you children of snakes. That's what he called them, the Pharisees. Okay. So, you cannot call it Jewish propaganda. It is definitely not that. Anyway, let's look at a couple of other things that the Hadith say about the Jews. Okay. It says here, the Prophet said, had only 10 Jews among their chiefs believed in me, all the Jews would definitely have believed in me. So Muhammad had this idea that the Jews were just like, whoa, we want Muhammad, man. We want to believe in him. He's amazing. He's the Messiah. He's everything. And but that did not happen. He said if only 10 of the chiefs would have believed in him, that all of the Jews would have believed in him. Again, delusional. But that's what Muhammad was like. So, all right, let's look at this one. It's okay. Now, this is an interesting one, because here it tells that Muhammad set things in motion for what Umar did. Umar was the second caliph after Abu Bakr. And so Umar carried out Muhammad's wish, when his dying wish was that the Jews and Christians would be expelled from the Arabian Peninsula. And it says Umar expelled the Jews and Christians from the Hijaz being the Arabian Peninsula. When Allah's apostle had conquered Khaybar, he wanted to expel the Jews from it as its lands became property of Allah and his apostle and the Muslims. Allah's apostle intended to expel the Jews, but they requested him to let them stay there on the condition that they would do the labor and get half the fruits. Allah's apostle told them, "We will let you stay on this condition as long as we wish." So they, the Jews, kept on living there until Omar forced them to go towards Taima and Ariha. Okay, so it was actually Omar bin Khattab, the third caliph. He's the one that or the second caliph actually, because the first was Abu Bakr, the second was Omar, the third was Uthman ibn Affan. Okay, so here, it's just saying that Omar did fulfill Muhammad's request, dying wish that the Jews and Christians be expelled from the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, all right. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, Beni Nadir, Benu Qurayza. Okay, these are the two of the Jewish tribes fought against Muhammad, and the Muhammad exiled the Beni Nadir, and allowed the Benu Qurayza to remain at their places in Medina, taking nothing from them until they fought against him. He then killed their men and distributed their women and children and property among the Muslims. But some of them came to Muhammad, and he granted them safety, and they embraced Islam. He exiled all the Jews from Medina. They were the Jews of Benu Kainuka, the tribe of Abdullah bin Salam, and the Jews of Beni Haritha, and all the other Jews of Medina. So he exiled them. He got rid of them. Okay, if he didn't kill them, he got rid of them, cast them out. This is Sahih al-Bukhari. Again, this is not exactly a Christian source. Okay. And they said, the most gracious has begotten a son. As the Jews say, Uzair is the son of Allah, and the Christians say that he has begotten a son, Isa. Okay. And the pagan Arabs say that he has begotten daughters and sons. Okay. That he has begotten sons and daughters. Okay. Very Mormon sounding. All right. It says, they say, okay, this is from the Quran, Midian 1988. They say the most gracious has begotten a son or offspring or children, as the Jews say Uzair is the son of Allah, and Christians say he has begotten a son, has begotten daughters, angels and others. Okay, so kind of got a little bit of a crazy idea of what Christians believe. They believe that we believe that God had a sexual relationship with Mary, and so that's what they think we think. So I guess it's important every time to remind them that that's not what we think. The Quran is simply wrong in what it says about Christians. The Quran gets so much about Christians wrong. It got the Trinity wrong. The Quran says the Trinity is Mother, Father, Son. That's absolutely wrong. It's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But the Quran, Muhammad didn't know how to read or write, so he didn't know what the Christian or Jewish sources said, and he kind of had to rely on his followers, and so his followers. Maybe they also were playing games with him. Maybe they discovered that they could do that. So, yeah. So let's look here. Oops. And they say the most gracious has begotten a son, As the Jews say that Ozair is the son of Allah, and the Christians say he has begotten a son, Isa, and the pagans, Arabs say he has begotten sons, he has begotten daughters, angels, and others. Midian, 1988. Okay, so there's the misunderstanding again. This is a big source of confusion Muslims have with Christianity, is they think that we say that Allah has begotten children, which, there's only one begotten son, that's Jesus, who is equal to God because he's the same nature, no beginning, no ending, never tires, never sleeps. Okay. All right. That's it. Okay. Rabbinic Judaism changed the teachings because, Rabbinic Judaism, I think, was very much an issue that John the Baptist tackled. John the Baptist really tackled this, and when he called them brood of vipers for changing the Torah. He called them a brood of vipers, children of a snake, because of what they did, with the law of Moses. It was like the Jews took the law of Moses, the beautiful writings of their books and everything, and they changed it into Rabbinic Judaism, which is Judaism based on where you are and your relationship to God. Okay. So anyway, it says here, Omar is the one who fulfilled Muhammad's wish to expel the Jews and Christians from the Hijaz or Arab Arabian Peninsula. Omar expelled the Jews and the Christians. That guy. Omar has a lot of issues. When Allah's apostle conquered Khaybar, he wanted to expel the Jews from it as its land became the property of Allah, his apostle, and the Muslims. Allah's apostle intended to expel the Jews, but they requested him to let them stay there on the condition that they would do the labor and get half of its fruit. Allah's apostle told them, "We will let you stay on this condition as long as we wish." So the Jews, kept on living there until Omar forced them to go towards Taima and Ariha. Now, if Ariha is what I think it is, Ariha is Arabic for Jericho. Okay, Ariha. So that's possible. Okay. Okay, let's look at this one here. The messenger ordered me to learn the writing of the Jews. So I learned for him the writing of the Jews. He said, "I swear by Allah, I do not trust Jews in respect of writing for me." So I learned it, and only a fortnight passed before I mastered it. I would write for him when he wrote to them and read it to him when something was written to him. Okay, so Muhammad apparently was having correspondence with Jews, and he had this one guy, Zayd ibn Thabit, who was kind of his go-between. And Zayd ibn Thabit, for those of you who remember, was a very famous story. He's the one who actually wrote the Quran for Muhammad. He was the one who compiled the Quran for Abu Bakr and Umar bin al-Khattab. And so he's very, very important person in Islam. Okay, but he says, "I do not trust the Jews in respect of writing for me." Okay. Let's look here. Ooh. All right. Let me see. Where do I have that? Okay. Well, so it was kind of like based on that I was kind of interested to do something about this guy, and just to show that, what he said about the Jews being the enemies of Islam is what the Quran says. And the way that these rabbis are saying, we live in perfect peace with the Muslims, and the Muslims have been so wonderful and everything. This is days of Egypt. Um, you know, I understand their trauma. I understand the trauma of the Israelis right now. And so when I hear somebody who's in leadership say something super crazy, I just kind of think about it, wonder if it's worth pointing out, or just kind of let it be. So this is a situation I kind of feel like I just want to let it be, even though if he stops me and I have the shirt that has that verse on it, I will discuss it with him. So, all right. Okay, guys. Well, shoot, that was kind of what I wanted to talk about. It's kind of hoping we'd have a Muslim come on, and let me see. I'll go ahead and put the link here for whoever might want to come on and discuss. We don't have to just talk about this, but if you want to, we can talk about this. I know a lot of people are interested. A lot of people have questions about Israel and stuff, and I know everything about that. So, Tiger, when my dad read about the 144,000, he decided what's the point? He had no chance and closed the Bible. When you have error like this, um, it's very easy to uh, continue that. And yeah, here's the GoFundMe link if anybody wants to help with the Christians in Nigeria. We're still doing this, still collecting some money. We got almost $300 towards our $7,200 goal. So please go there and support, and we're going to send it to a ministry in Nigeria. So, and then we also have our president. I'm not sure. Let me look, see if anything new has happened, but he threatened Nigeria pretty harshly. Okay. Well, I think even though this isn't our topic, this looks like an interesting article on the New York Post. It's about the man, not the man for the job, Memdani. Okay. Um, so, 20 reasons to vote against Memdani. Let's see if they have this brought up. One, he hates the police. He called let me see, do I have this up? Okay, yeah. He called the NYPD racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. Number two, he really hates the police. A number of officers in the NYPD is at its lowest level in 20 years, below 34,000. Outgoing Mayor Adams wants to increase the ranks to 40,000 by 2028. Mamdani insists on no additions, okay? So, number three, he hates the police with a splash of anti-Semitism. We make it clear to you that when the boot of the New York Police Department is on your neck, it's been laced by the Israeli Defense Forces. Mamdani said that. His mental health plan is half baked. Danny's right when he says we need to help the mentally ill on our streets, but he doesn't have a realistic plan. Okay. Promises of a bus boondoggle. Mamdani wants free buses for everyone, which he says will cost $700 million annually. Though the head of the MTA predicts that it will climb to $1 billion a year. Okay. He never met a failed idea he didn't like. Capitalism is bad, so let's have the city run grocery store with controlled prices. Capitalism is bad. These stores wouldn't have to pay property taxes or rent since they'd be in city-owned buildings. Okay. He wants to globalize the Intifada. Okay. He'll cause an international incident. Mamdani doesn't like the NYPD, but he's happy to order it to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay. Okay. He sides with hate. He wrote a rap song giving his love to the Holy Land Five, Americans who helped finance Hamas and face up to 65 years in prison. He wrote a rap about him. His rap is almost as bad as mine. I'm sorry. Middle Easterners should leave rap to white people. I'm just kidding. To black people, and let a white person every now and then try it. Okay, but mostly we should stay out of the rap field. All right. He claims he's the victim. No matter what, he's the victim. He'll flood the streets with criminals. Okay. He wants to close Rikers by 2027. What's he going to do with the people? They will be out on the street. He'll put children at risk for sex trafficking. Mamdani has long wanted to legal prostitution, which lowers the quality of life in neighborhoods and puts women at risk. Okay, he'll make the housing crisis worse. He'll make schools worse. He'll drive us deeper into debt. He'll drive away the golden goose. He'll put the federal assistance at risk. He has no experience. And number 20, he will treat New York as an experiment on his road to greater things. Okay, there's few things that are greater than being the mayor of New York City. Mm-hmm. Atheists go back to the Renaissance. They started spreading the idea of Dark Ages then in order to say the Christians were ignorant. Okay. All right. Well, you guys, these are some things going on with our friend Mamdani. And we only have a few days, you guys. This thing's getting scary. He could be the next mayor of New York City. And if he does, let's see how long before people start rioting because of his leadership or lack thereof. So, all right, you guys. Well, I appreciate you hanging out for a little while. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. We love you, but much more importantly, he loves you. Have a wonderful day. Oops, sorry.